はアルとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker, huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking, huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper, with the little, cause on my lap, a shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her. Ask the if I didn't choke her. If she try to front, then I drop the Chucky Booker on.
Episode 45 of the Virtual Pros Podcast. My name is Al, aka the Big Al Boski, aka Henny Omega, aka the Bandman, aka Bougie Nagata, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka TJ Lurkins. Hey Mike, I'm really excited for that Mae Young Classic. And with me, one half of the Holy Scheming Army, one half of Blemolition, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, motherfuckers, it's Mike, a.k.a. Wavy Boy Smith, a.k.a. Crack Saber Jr., a.k.a. Tim Tam Bigelow, a.k.a. Kilo Santana, a.k.a. Ambien Zandow.
Today's topic, the eras that defined us as wrestling fans. What crafted these two podcasters into the grizzled vets that they are today? Hit us on Instagram and Twitter at VRTLPros. Hit us on iTunes, leave a review. Hit us on SoundCloud, hit that heart, you know I like it. And please, 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 hit us on the Bloody Disgusting app. Have that entire VRTL discography in the palm of your hands. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Mike, we got some emails. You mind starting off?
Yep. First one's from Rob, I believe. Shooting? Did we do that on the last show? Or no?
We did do shooting, dude. The first email is from Daniel.
Okay, yep. It's about fry-ups. The subject is fry-ups, one of my favorite subjects. Hey guys, I legit had to jump on right now while listening to the podcast and have to stand up for Mike's love of fry-ups. And as a Scottish person, I can promise you that, yeah, fry-ups are definitely a thing. Like over here in London, they've expanded into the brunch scene, so often your options will be avocado on toast or a full English. They're amazing. Skip the fried eggs and go scrambled. And if you want to restore the Scottish feeling, throw some potato scones on there as well as some square sausage and black pudding. My girl added paprika and chili to the baked beans the other weekend. Excellent decision. Anyways, this has nothing to do with wrestling, but how dare you, Al? Maybe try breakfast bears with a full English breakfast. It's amazing. Did that once while watching WWE's Beast in the East show because Japan evenings are morning time in the UK or not. Maybe you enjoy living a longer life. Also, this email from the previous episode referenced Jezza, aka Jeremy Corbyn, the populist leader of the left-wing Labour Party in the UK, and Zack Sabre Jr. loves him. I've already written enough about particularly British things, and I'm feeling self-conscious. P.S. Do a Virtual Bros episode all about Scottish food. Thanks as always, Daniel.
Have you had a fry-up recently, Mike? How was it?
No, I haven't. They're kind of pricey, and I don't know. I've been kind of cooled off. I might get one. I think I might wake up early for that New Japan because it starts 5:30 here. I think I might, and I don't need to watch the beginning, so I think I might wake up early, and I think they might have a deal on fry-ups down the street during the week, so I might try and get one for cheap.
Damn, that sounds like you have quite the morning upcoming.
Yeah.
Up next. Oh, let me chime in, Daniel. No, I'm never going to be a fan of this. Like, I haven't unfollowed them yet, but I'm getting close, man. Those beans just look too aggressive. Like, I get, like, if you're on, like, a weight loss diet, you want to eat like a peasant and then finish your day off by eating very little. So I understand the big breakfast thing, but I don't understand how you carry on with your day with that much food. Next up is from DC All-American, aka Kid Keish. Debut in question. What's up, fellas? It's DC, aka Flying Brian Trillman, aka Road Warrior Cock, aka Sean Hemp. Rewind to May 1996. I heard so much about Rey Mysterio Jr., I read numerous articles on him in the Aftermags and from the limited internet access I had during that time. The WCW commentators did a great job of building him up, leading up to his bash at the beach versus Malenko, so I was ready. When he debuted, I was blown away. He definitely lived up to expectations in that match with Malenko. Which leads me to my question. From an athletic standpoint, which 3 wrestlers impressed you the most over your wrestling viewing career? For me, it's Liger, Ray, and Ricochet. DC, I get that you wanted to cosplay as me because I told this exact same story on the last episode, so A+, I guess. Which 3 wrestlers impressed me the most? Ray's one for sure. I've always been really impressed with Lesnar because he's like the #1 guy that I feel like can fuck anyone up in the universe. I guess besides Cain Velasquez and Overeem when he's on drugs. Ray, Brock, Hayabusa. How about you, Mike?
Since he said from an athletic standpoint.
Oh, athletics. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I'd have to go with Missy Hyatt. I've always admired her athleticism. Kind of a dark horse, but Shelly Martinez. A lot of people don't give her credit for her athleticism, but I was a big fan of her athleticism when she was in the WWE CW. And lastly, of course, Asuka. She is an amazing athlete, and I love all of her athleticism.
Let me swap my pick from Hayabusa to Io Shirai because she has the best athleticism in the game right now. Prayers to you, by the way. Did you see that thing where Dave Meltzer said that her neck is quote unquote fucked?
I did see that.
Yeah.
That's very hard to believe from all of her wrestling that her neck would be fucked. Okay, the next email is from Dave B. It says horror movies and related television series. Hey guys, this is probably more in Mike's wheelhouse, but maybe Al can take a hot minute to familiarize himself. Since you're on Bloody Disgusting's feed now, what's your favorite horror movie series that also has a television anthology bearing the same name? We'll leave Tales from the Crypt out of that since it obviously crushes every other available option. You've got Nightmare on Elm Street plus Freddy's Nightmares, Friday the 13th plus Friday the 13th series, and Poltergeist plus Poltergeist the Legacy. What say you? Also, not to leave Al with nothing to chomp on, I know you pick the intermission music, so peep this for your consideration. And he links to a Sky Zoo song, which is, that's like Red Cafe territory of, fallen hip hoppers from the East Coast that,
Yeah, Dave, should I play fucking Saigon this next bumper or what? What do you think?
Oh man, me and my friend Dave were watching some sad video from a guy back then that has like a new video now. I wish I could remember who it was. Oh, Drag On has a new video, and it's just when we're bored, we'll look up like old rappers and see if they're still making videos, and they usually are.
Uh-huh.
So it's always fun, yeah. Yeah, he says stay up, Jay, aka Jinsei Bukaki, aka the Rymac, aka Stone Cold Creamery, Steve Flossin. That's weird that it says from Dave on the email, but he says his name is Jay, so, who knows. Anyways, as far as those anthology series, the Nightmare on Elm Street one the first episode was good because it gave you the origin of Freddy Krueger, but then after that it kind of fell off. They're watchable though. The Friday the 13th series is real bad. I didn't even know Poltergeist had a series. And, I would actually argue that Tales from the Crypt really doesn't hold up that well, so I can't really pick one. I would have to obviously say Twilight Zone is the best thing to have an anthology series in a movie, but it was a TV show before it was a movie, so I don't think that's what he meant. But that's my answer. It's a not real answer at all, cause, one of these things always sucks more than the other one.
Also Dave, aka Jay. There's no way I'm gonna play Sky Zoo during a bumper. Sorry. Also Dragon was a part of Down Bottom, the best Swizz Beatz song, so he always has my utmost respect. Next up is Denzel. What up, Denzel? Fucking, I got you, ho-ho loony, motherfucker. His topic is rebranding. Yo, dudes, congrats on the Bloody Disgusting Podcast Network. Hey, yo, thanks. I have some rebranding ideas for a few of the cats in NXT, as well as on the main brands. If they are too dumb, don't read them. I did it for the AKAs. First, Sanity. Their greasy, homeless, crazy people gimmick doesn't really do it for me. So, people that do modern renditions of Shakespeare. Sanity should do modern renditions of Seinfeld. Eric is Jerry, Dame is Costanza, Nikki is Kramer, and Wolf is Elaine. Progressive as fuck. They never wrestle, and they just do 30-minute dramatic reads of modernized Seinfeld episodes that devolve into Yoko Ono-esque screeching from Nikki Cross as Kramer, while Dame and Costanza reads Young Costanza tweets. The Shining Stars, they just really lean into the travel agent shit and move into timeshares. They constantly harass the talent and staff about buying their timeshares in Puerto Rico. They changed their Jumbotron entrance video to 30-second clips of the tour of the timeshares as they narrate what you're seeing as they walk to the ring. They continue to hard sell the timeshares during these matches. The Ascension, they just go hard into the Illuminati shit and claim to be the rightful heirs of the globe. This begins a feud with Truther J. Perkins because of their use of the word globe conflicts with his belief that the earth is flat. Eventually, this is squashed when they team up to prove that Vince and his spawn are all lizard people. They form a way sadder version of Mystery Inc. featuring no women and Victor's Chihuahua that keeps pissing the van. Thanks, Denzel, aka Hunter Thirst Helmsley, aka Promethazine Lean Gene Smoke-a-ton, aka I got your ho-ho loony, aka Burn Gagne, aka I'll hit your chick 5-star frog splashes and Chelsea climaxes, aka Scott Hawkins, aka they call me Doc Gallows because bitch, I'm hung. The Shining Stars should pair up with Titus, the Titus brand. That'd be tight. I co-signed that, gimmick rebrand. What do you think, Mike?
I think it's very weird that Denzel uses an AKA for Vern Gagne because we were on his podcast, which is Real Nerd Hours, if you guys don't know. And, he said he, like, literally just got into wrestling like 6 months ago. So, how the fuck does he know who Vern Gagne is? He must have just looked at a list of wrestler names. I don't know. Unless Denzel studies things very quickly. I don't know. But, that was very odd. Next up is from Mike Atlas, but I guess I could read this. There's not much to it though. But he had a mixtape suggestion for AJ Styles versus Amazing Red. The reason I'm saying I guess I could read this is because he didn't provide a link or anything, so, and I'm not gonna come on, dude. I'm not gonna find this on my own. Yo, my dudes, Mike Atlas here with a little fan flex update for the true Vert bags. Brand is in overdrive like Randy Orton. Brand is flying off the cell Foley style. Excited to see the growth and bringing that hustle into my life as well. Fan for life. Also, here with a mixtape submission, AJ and Red went to war at House of Glory, a match I had not too high expectations for whatever reason, and went in a way different lane than expected. A decent amount to unpack from a no DQ stip to crazy aggressive kid fans to great AJ heel work to a great 10-minute stretch at the end. Loved it. Keep cool. Well, if I find this on the internet, maybe I will put it on the mixtape in the future.
Next up is from RTF FTW titled Whoop Whoop, as always. What up, ninjas? As a juggalo and employed working man, I got a soft spot for wrestlers with occupation gimmicks. Who were some of your favorite? Growing up in Georgia, I always loved the Big Boss Man. I can't think of Cobb County without thinking of him yoking up and dogging out some dude with his nightstick. It's wild to think how that police brutality It's wild to think how that police brutality character would go over now. I'd also like to shout out Kane for his director of operations stint that was more recent than I really enjoyed. Stay greasy, shot glass, aka $100 bottle of Adam Rosé, aka Flask Funk, aka Special K Quick. The Goon was cool. Like, why was he a hockey player that turned to wrestling? If I was like a retired hockey player, I think I'd just be like a commentator, but could never figure that one out. How about you?
I really liked Isaac Yankem because he was a dentist, and that seemed
buy that
like
figure.
I mean, I would if it wasn't an exclusive. I'm sure it's going to be on that Entertainment Earth website. They always have extra shit, but yeah, like I liked Isaac Yankem because he was a dentist, and I think that had to be the most ridiculous thing besides TL Hopper the plumber, but I didn't like him, so I think Isaac Yankem has to win it for me. Next email. Sorry, we're speeding through these, but there's so many. Next is Adam. It's wrestling and non-wrestling places. Sup, Vrtl bros. For some reason, my girlfriend has watched the 2008 Get Smart movie multiple times. Wow. and every time she does, she makes a point to let me know the great Kali appears in this movie. It got me thinking, what's the best appearance of a wrestler or wrestling and non-wrestling media? Well, not the best. A favorite of mine is drunkenly watching The Man with the Iron Fists in a dollar theater and getting psyched on Batista hitting a powerbomb on a dude. Felt good. I also completely forgot until recently that Bam Bam Bigelow jobbed to Mayor Payne. Felt bad. Roddy Piper is in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Also holds a spot in my heart. Adam, aka Wave Meltzer, aka Plat Seidel, aka Hariyoshi Tenzans. That's a good one. Aka Brick Flair. P.S. Sorry for ruining Al's weekend with my mixtape submission. Sometimes you just gotta feed your inner ghoul. Yeah, he sent us like a fucking video that was just like, dude dislocates his fucking leg or something. Like, that was like the name of it. Like, and I guess Al watched
his shoulder. It was awful. Oh, you didn't see it?
No. I'm not gonna watch something that blatantly says that. Like,
that shit sucked. Fuck you, Adam.
But as far as this question, we actually have like a list of ideas that we're going to get to for like main segments. And this is one of them. So I'm not going to go too long on it. I will say, Elegante or aka Giant Gonzalez in Baywatch is obviously a perennial favorite.
For me, John Cena makes an appearance in Merz's Bad Man remix. That video is fucking tight because he gives Merz the attitude adjustment into a trash can. It's pretty good. Also, I saw Gremlins. I think it might have been the sequel in the theaters, and Hulk Hogan's in it.
Yeah.
As a little Hulkamaniac, I didn't see that coming, and I almost ripped my shirt right in the middle. I was really fucking pumped. That was one of my favorite wrestlers in non-wrestling places. Next up is from Daniel. Check that tape. He has a podcast called Check the Tape. It's about basketball. Check it out. The title of this email is Fast Food Fantasy Booking. Yo, it's Daniel, aka Pifford Robinson, aka Who Got Trees Rollins, aka Vlade Too Hottie Divac. A little fantasy booking for you. Who would win in a match between Jollibee's Champ and the McDonald's mayor? Clearly Champ has in-ring experience being a boxer, but look at the mayor's entrance gear and swagger. And he sends us 2 photos, one of which is Jollibee's Champ. He has a skull beanie on. His head is a burger. He's the champ. He looks like Tito Ortiz, sort of. Whereas the mayor, he just has a hair. You know who the McDonald's mayor is. Anyway, famous lunch sucks. Wealth sucks. Bring back the Rye Cap. Peace. Come on, man. Jollibee Champ would wash the mayor. The mayor looks like very old. Like, what politicians do you know that can fight? Jollibee's from the Philippines. He has some hands. He's obviously the champ. Jollibee here in a wash. Who do you have here, Mike?
I used to be kind of frightened of the mayor when I was a little kid.
No shit.
I think, maybe there's no, I think it's the mayor because I remember that in Playland when McDonald's had Playlands. And, I think the mayor one was like, you climbed up inside of him and you would like chill in his head, basically. That was like the little area for kids to chill in. And I think I got stuck in the top once and it like really fucking freaked me out. I think it was the mayor. So I was always frightened of him. So he's more frightening than Champ, but Champ looks like he's ready to fight. So I'd have to go with him. Also, I made the ultimatum on Twitter that I will bring back the Rye Cap if we get 1,000 followers on Twitter. We're not too far away, but I need that because I'm risking my life here, even though Welf kind of brokered a truce, with Ryback earlier this weekend and, had a little powwow with him, but I'm still afraid of getting beat up. So I need 1,000 followers on Twitter to keep this up. And on top of it, like everybody else is bitching on Twitter about how horrible Ryback is. I wasn't even ever bitching about him. I was just stating the facts, but whatever. Next up is from Matt.
Well, I did have a question. No. If you had to go PWA 500, for the McDonald's mascots, who do you have here? I think Grimace is number 1. Hamburglar, he's just like a cat burglar. He's kind of a pussy. So I think he's at like the bottom. I'd have Mayor in the middle, but I think Grimace has like some kind of like secret strength. What do you think?
Yeah, Grimace looks pretty like he'd fuck you up pretty bad. Yeah. There was another non-mayor. There's like a mayor type. I don't know. I don't remember. There's a different mayor type mascot who's maybe a cop or something. There's also the Fry guys. I don't think they could really fuck anybody up. They're a little tiny. Those chicken McNuggets can't fuck anybody up. So it's basically like Grimace and the mayor are like the heavy hitters, the McDonald's. And, you know, I think Hamburger was pretty sneaky and that goes a long way, especially in wrestling.
You might be right.
Next up is from Matt. It says, what's up, guys? I attached a GIF you might appreciate as much as I do. Oddball question, but can you think of any memorable fan activity off the top of your head? Thanks to the WWE Network, I find myself going back and watching old WCW and WWF shows and focusing less on the matches and more on the background activity. From ridiculous signs, see attached, strange commentary, and even fan interference. Do you have a favorite or memorable moment you could think of? It seemed like fans were running in WCW rings every single week, going back and watching Nitro and Thunder. I've seen 2 separate instances where a fan has attacked Raven. This is something that just doesn't seem to happen anymore. Where does the blame lie? Is the product just so dull that the fans don't care? Have today's event attendees gone soft, or was the 90s simply the age of bedlam? P.S. Shout out for the Bloody Disgusting. Y'all joining introduced me to a few more great podcasts to listen to when I was struggling to find more entertaining content that's up my alley. Do you hear that, Bloody Disgusting podcasts? I hope you're plugging our show on your shows. XOXO. Matt, aka Victor Quinones Jr., aka Starks, who be buying line marks and Clark's piece. I mentioned this on the show before, but I was at like a live show and it ruined the illusion of steel cages for me because some dude just climbed it super quick and started beating, I think it was Sergeant Slaughter. He started beating on somebody with like a post or two before he got yoked up really quick. But I mean, that was like always memorable because like I said, like I was little enough to be like, man, steel cages are bullshit. But, outside of that, I can't think of anything. I do look a lot in audiences now instead of actually watching wrestling though.
We would be remiss to not describe the GIF that Matt included. It's a GIF of 3 people holding 3 separate signs, and it says HBK Cream Team. That's HBK Cream Team. That's pretty wild. Off the top of my head, I just remember seeing superfan Vladimir as a kid, and he'd always wear like a pink tank top, and he was fucking cut up, and he'd always be flexing and giving his number 1. I was like, wow, this guy might be the strongest fan I've ever seen. But I will say, go ahead.
No, you can go.
I will say that like WCW fan, late 90s, monsters compared to the fucking Raw crowd. Like, it might be the most unruly set of fans I've ever seen.
That reminded me, there was another fan back then that used to wear a shirt that was like homemade and it said Bastion Booger, and he wore it at every show he went to, and like he was at a lot of shows. And I remember I saw that guy waiting in line in front of me for hot dogs once, and I was just like freaking out because it was like seeing a real wrestler where I was like, oh man, it's the Bastion Booger guy. But so yeah, that's my other one.
That was it. We'll get to 2-man scramble. My first topic, Virtual Con East, is fast approaching, and it was recently announced that the Wild Thing at Sushi Onita will be charging not 10, not 20, not 30, but $40 for these meet and greets on August 5th. Mike, what's your initial reaction to this price point?
So my initial reaction on Twitter was like, come on, dude. Like, paying any human being $40 and they're not even showing tit, like, that is insane. Then, like, you know, then I calmed down and I was just like, it's not rational to me at all. But at the same time, people like Ric Flair and Bret Hart are always, like, forever charging like $75 for this shit. And they're like always at like the biggest conventions. Like, you could probably see them like 5 times a year if you want. This is like your one chance to see Onita unless you go to Japan. So I guess if you're like that into them, $40 is kind of reasonable. But then, Bahu from Bahu FMW World sent over the scoop that last week they were advertising it would cost $10, and then they just bumped the price up to $40. So they skipped a bunch of 10s in there and went right to $40. And, that's super fucking shady. So I'm back to like completely hating on it.
What up, Stash Pages? I know you're listening. I'm pretty sure you're listening. I'll see you in line, dude. $40. I didn't even blink. I'm getting that shirt signed. I don't give a fuck. Also, they announced that Hideki Hosaka was gonna appear as Mr. Pogo #2 on that show. More and more, I'm getting really, really bummed out about spending how much I spent going to New York to watch this show. What do you think?
I mean, it's not really a far ride to me. Like, my biggest concern is like the ride home kind of sucks, but like outside of that,
oh my god, I'm horrified.
But outside of that, I'm not like, outside of that, I'm not really like, you know, it'll be a fun time because there's gonna be so many people there. So like, I don't really give a fuck about the wrestling. That shit's gonna suck. It's like a 60-year-old man. Like, how good can it be?
True story, right? Like in 95, Atsushi Onita was not blowing my dick back. Like that was all Hayabusa doing moonsaults off like a 15-foot electrified cage. I get it. I get that on August 5th, he's just going to be marching around even more so than he did 20 years ago. But, yeah, if you're on the East Coast and you want to link up, show up, don't be weird. The first VirtualCon, set kind of a high standard. So let's try to beat it, guys. Next up, G1, Ibushi Naito. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was really good. It was way more brutal than I expected it to be because, I don't really think of Ibushi as a brutal guy, and I definitely don't think of Naito as a brutal guy, but like, it was as brutal as I could think those guys would get. That fucking pile driver obviously was insane.
Yes.
But I mean, just all in all, like, they set a pretty high mark where I kind of know, like, whatever's coming tomorrow, I'm just going to be let down by, but it was definitely fucking up there for me.
We were giving Kid Cash some shit about how, he was really mad that Ibushi was wrestling under the tiger mask thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, Kid Cash, I owe you a light apology. I kind of get what you were saying because Kota was showing out here for sure. Are there any matches, upcoming that you're looking forward to in the G1?
I mean, I always look forward to Ishii matches. I haven't even really looked at, like, I know Kenny Omega's in one block and Naito and, Ibushi are in another block, but I don't really pay that big of attention. Kenny Omega and Suzuki's tomorrow. That should be interesting. Yeah. But, I guess you never really know when these guys are going to kind of mail it in and when they're going to go hard. So it's kind of hard to tell what's going to be what.
They have to mail it in, I would think. I wouldn't blame them. It's like a month-long tournament. They can't just be dropping like on their necks for 4 weeks.
No,
so
I don't blame them either.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't blame them either, but it's just hard to like look forward to a match because of that. Cause you're just like last year, I don't think anybody expected Okada Ishii to be like, like the second or third best match of the whole thing. And that match was fucking incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to Kenny Omega Suzuki. I know they're going to do Omega Okada. That should be really good the last night, but yeah, hell of a bar to set for the first night. My last topic, still New Japan related. So it was recently announced that Hot Topic would start carrying, Los Ingobernables de Japón tees. As a response, will you be throwing your shirt away?
I don't know. It's so odd to me because it also, made a mention that it'll be authentic with the lion mark tag and everything on it. And, that seems very strange to me. I don't really care. I don't go to Hot Topic. I'm way too old for that. And I don't even think the Hot Topic exists in New York City. Maybe, but I don't know. But like, I think if they have that Ishii shirt there, I'll definitely get that. I'll probably have somebody get it for me, but I'll definitely get that. But, I don't think more people are going to have LIJ shirts just because Hot Topic sells them, basically.
I kind of agree. Like, I think they might be overestimating this popularity based on Bullet Club sales. I don't see like a bunch of people rushing out to buy LIJ shit. So, I will still rock my LIJ. Well, I will say that, LIJ merch in 2017 is just brickin'. I do want those jorts now, kind of, but that new shirt fucking stinks. Like that rose. I don't know. It looks like an Ed Hardy shirt. Doesn't look very good, but, I'm alright with this Hot Topic, whatever. That was all I had.
Okay. We took a lot of time with emails, so I'll get through these quick. Me and Welf and Mrs. Welf went to go see Mexican wrestling, some Lucha Libre, aka World of Unpredictable Wrestling, a couple weekends ago. That's the thing that sucks about doing the show every other week is because when I do these cool wrestling trips, they just seem like old news weeks later, so no one cares. But I just will say, I always have a good time going to Lucha Libre. It's a little too expensive because it's $45 basically just to get a seat. That's not even guaranteeing like a good seat. That is a ridiculous price to basically see 8 matches worth of bozos and then like 2 good matches. But, I will say like, if you have the chance to go to Lucha Libre, like legit Lucha Libre with, like a predominantly Mexican audience, definitely do it. It is, I do not like children, but like going to Lucha Libre makes me think children are the coolest. They're so fucking cool. They're like so pumped. They're so excited. There's no nerds there chanting dumb shit. and saying stupid shit or like, you know, talking about what Paul's going to do in Stanford. That doesn't happen. Some little girl shared her chicharrones with me, which was really, really nice. I took some cool pictures, and it really made me understand Lucha Libre a little more than I did beforehand, because it's like the main event was Pagano versus Psycho Clown. They're both clowns, basically. They're just two different types of clowns that don't like each other. And, you know, it wasn't even really like, it was just pretty much a brawly match, which is, you know, kind of akin to Lucha Libre style, but I never really get into it. I don't get it on television. But when you get that, you understand like these two dudes hate each other and you're there live and everybody's like losing it, it's pretty fucking sweet. Like, that match was technically not one of the best matches I've ever seen, but as far as like feeling, it was, you know, it's probably in like the top 10, definitely this year easily. And so yeah, like even if it's fucking expensive, just do it once. It's really fun. It's really fun to just be a fan and not have to deal with nerds and all the other shit. Just go to Lucha Libre if you can. And I will say it also leads into my next topic, which is why I've accepted going to wrestling so much as a thing. And it's because I really enjoy drinking when there's like something to watch while I'm drinking in a live setting. Like I just kind of, this dawned on me. I never really drink at home. I think that's kind of like whatever. I never really have that much fun unless I'm like miserable and I just don't want to be sober, but I don't really drink at home for recreation. I'll drink at a bar and it's okay. But it's not like, you know, my most preferred thing. But watching something live and like just having fun, that is like the best time to drink. And this, like Lucha Libre is like the ultimate drinking wrestling, I think. So yeah, if you enjoy drinking and haven't been to wrestling shows, you should mix the two together because it's very fun. And people who are all like, that criticize people for getting drunk at wrestling shows, fuck off, man. You're a fucking non-fun person. Just go be not fun at home. Stay at home and not be fun. Do you want to chime in, Al? I could just keep going. I got so much. I could keep going.
Just keep going, dude. Keep it going.
That leads me into my next thing, which was, this is a topic that's now ancient history, but I just wanted to bring it up because, basically, on that G1 special that Al went to, a certain, wrestling website that also does podcasts made a tweet about intermissions and how they're useless or something, some hot take to get people riled up. And I never really respond to that stuff because I don't care. I'm a grown up with like grown up problems and I'm just, you know, always worrying about death like every 2 minutes. So like I don't have time for wrestling arguments. But the intermission thing really got me, and I tweeted back at him. I was just like, well, you know, like sarcastically, of course, because that's my style. And I was just like, you know, it's not like every other sport on earth doesn't have an intermission. And I think he clapped back with, well, you know, those are for the players, blah blah blah. And well, I did bite. I don't do two tweet arguments because that just makes you a fool. Like if you want to argue with me, you can come see me, you can come text me or something, but I'm not going to do it on Twitter. But anyways, so, you know, that was that, whatever. My point is intermissions are, they're a cool time to like, you know, relax and like maybe go say hi to your friend. If you have friends, maybe this guy doesn't have friends, so he doesn't have anybody to talk to during intermissions. But I like intermissions at shows. It's a nice break up. It gives you a break. You can go outside and drink, go outside and smoke weed. You know, you do bad shit. So maybe this guy's just not into bad shit. And I just think it's one of those things where it's like, I'm just a crabby baby and this isn't my way. So I want something different. And I just think it's like a feeling like that. And I think it's lame, and let people have intermissions. It's fucking fun. What do you think about intermissions, Al?
So if we're talking about the G1 in USA special, they had, I believe it was a 10 to 15 minute intermission. So I spent this time, you know, doing human stuff like peeing, linking up with people that I didn't get to talk to. Shout out to the real Matty B. I met up with him during this time. I bought a ticket off somebody. I bought more beer. So to me, intermissions are totally fine. I like a halftime, like during basketball games, cause I could do other shit that I can't tend to when I'm watching the game. So I didn't really follow this argument too deeply. What's the argument for not having intermissions?
I guess it doesn't seem professional because WWE doesn't do it. And that they're also pointless somehow because in this fucking guy's pea brain, it was something like, using the bathroom during intermission is the worst time to use it. Like getting merch during intermission is the worst time to get it. And I don't know. I live in New York. I'm fucking used to lines, man. Like, I don't really care about waiting in line to get a shirt. So I don't know. Like, maybe it's bad for you to get intermission, but you know what else sucks? Just sitting down for 4 hours and not doing anything. Like at a wrestling show. Like, even when I go to fucking Raw, like when I went to Raw, there's no intermission there, but I still got up and walked around because it fucking sucks sitting there for 4 hours.
I can imagine this dude playing Wii, and like he was in the middle of playing Mario Galaxy, and that alert would come up where it was like, hey, take a break. And he'd be like, fuck that. I'm just trying to play some Mario right now, and I don't need you to tell me what to do. That's fucking bullshit. And he probably like emailed Shigeru Miyamoto about how pissed off he was. Dude, it's okay to take a break. That's my thought. I had a good time during my intermission. I don't know what the big deal is.
I tweeted after that. I was like, I think everything should have an intermission. I think sleeping should have an intermission. I love like waking up in the middle of the night and doing some shit for like 10 minutes and then going back to bed. You need intermissions in everything in life, man. It's fucking wrestling. Enjoy it. It's like a fun hobby. Just enjoy it. Don't be miserable about it.
Man, for the year that we've had Twitter, some people can't say that, dude. I will say that. I'll leave it at that.
Why, are you making fun of me right now, Al? What is that?
No, fuck no, dude. We have the same timeline. We see like the same grumpy people that will be like, oh, I can't believe they let Charlotte lose. This is fucking insane. Mike, I would never diss you on the air. We'll talk about that in private if I had to.
No, I know. I just misunderstood, but no, I know what Al's saying. I usually write that off. I'm like, they're probably like 20 and they don't have real problems, but I don't know that for sure. Like if you're over the age of like 21 and you bitch about that stuff, you need to find a new hobby, man. It's like fake fighting, dude. Just enjoy it. You don't have to watch it. I'm almost done. Look at that. So Kairi Sane now just debuted in the Mae Young Classic. And I just wanted to point out that I've been sending, she's now in the WWE, so she now has to retweet fan art, and she's been getting fan art, and it's been awful. So if you don't follow Kairi Sane on Twitter, now's a good time to start, because you're going to see a lot of horrible fan art, and you can't even write it off because then it's a little kid, because no little kid knows she's in fucking WWE right now. No little kid even knows who the fuck she is. So these are grown ass people, at least 14 years old at the youngest, that is making really bad, horrible fan art and sending it to Kairi Hojo, and she's retweeting it. And it is a true joy of Twitter.
Well, Mike keeps me abreast of all the fan art that she gets, and yeah, I agree. It's been pretty bad. Like there was some pencil art. It wasn't good.
Yeah,
I bet
that might have been from a real.
I bet she's disappointed because I bet in Japan, I'm guessing she got some high quality like Wacom tablet art, whereas now kind of a step down.
I mean, once she actually like for real debuts, she'll be starting getting that real heat. But now it's just like the biggest creep sending her shit. So I didn't really build this up in a good way. So my last topic is that I will say that Oney Larkin, the wrestler from NXT, a lot of people are behind him because he's just always losing, and supposedly he's a good wrestler under all that losing he does. Supposedly like 4 years ago when they signed him, he was a great wrestler. I am just looking forward to, and it might have started happening tonight, I'm just looking forward to when Oney Larkin starts being good and always winning, so then everybody on Twitter could hate him. And I'm just waiting for that moment. Because it seems every time you start doing good in WWE is when people turn their back on you. So I'm just waiting. I'm archiving and screenshotting all these tweets. Like, I'm just waiting. But yeah, that was a bad thing to end with. But how do you feel about Oney Larkin, Al?
Dude, so for the year that we've had the Twitter, I've been trying to like give this a name, and I might go with mediocre championing. Like, there are people that will be like, well, Okada's okay. Omega's okay. You know who's really good though? Adam Page. They should really push him. And I've never gotten this. Like, why do people do this? Like, you know he's not good. You're just saying it to say it, just to look smart. I don't know. Like, it was either mediocrity championing or like, fantasy road agent. I don't know what it was, where they just be like, man, Hangman Adam Page. He got some good punches. If he really figures it out, he's really going to run the business. And I don't know why people do this. It's fucking crazy. So like, when you talk about Oni Lorcan like this, he is good. But, you're right. If he does, like, if they ever include him, like, in a title program, everyone will jump off that boat and they'd be like, you know who deserves it next? Dino Sabatelli.
Yeah. He's not even on TV yet. So you have to get on that wagon quick because he's not even on TV. So you'll look like a real smart guy on Twitter if you start backing Dino Sabatelli.
You brought up a good point. How bad is that guy? He's been in NXT for like 37 years. And I think he's made TV twice. Like, what's that guy's deal? If any Florida VRTL agents can let us know, I'd like to know.
Yeah, seriously. Is he just injuring people left and right down there? Let us know.
Up next, the eras that defined us as wrestling fans. What crafted these two podcasters into the grizzled vets that they are today. Please stay tuned.
Okay, we're back here on Virtual Pros, episode 45 on the old Bloody Disgusting Network. Today we're going to talk about wrestling eras and promotions that defined us, that kind of made us who we are. Basically, we're still milking this whole new network deal. We know we're getting an influx of new listeners, and thank you for checking this out. If you are checking it out, it's probably not what you were expecting on this network. So we're trying to give you as much introductory information as we can in an entertaining way. So we decided we'll talk about like the promotions that basically made us who we are today, why we're fans of wrestling, blah, 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 blah. And, if this falls flat, and I think there's a good chance it might, if it falls flat, I got a follow-up question that we could save this segment with. So,
we're gonna need it, Mike. We're gonna need it.
So first is probably the Al probably has both of mine. Like, I don't know. We're probably gonna have all the same shit. I hope it's different. But the first one I try to get as specific as possible, and it's ECW. I'm going to say from 96 up until they signed with TNN, the Nashville network for the big nationwide TV show. That was kind of like the beginning of the end of ECW for me. But from 96 till whenever that was, 99, I believe that might have even been 2000 actually. And, that was just like, I've mentioned it on the show before. I always, I go back to ECW, like the classic content. Every, maybe once a year, once every 2 years, I'll go back. And every single time, I'm like, this isn't going to hold up. People make fun of this on the internet all the time now. It's going to suck. I'm going to hate it. And it's still amazing. Every single fucking time I watch it. Like, there's some shit that kind of sucks. Like, now as an older, mature person, I noticed that RVD is not like the crispest wrestler on earth and he fucks up a lot. But, whatever. And, I'm like, every time I'm like, oh, I'm going to be sick of these ECW run-ins because they did it so much, but they did it so good. Everything is so good about ECW. I just think that time is just like the golden era of wrestling for me. I wouldn't be here on this podcast if it wasn't for 96 to 99 ECW. That's for sure. And like I said, I think it still holds up. I think it's all brilliant stuff. Maybe the best run of an American promotion in my lifetime that I could think of personally for me.
Surprisingly, I didn't add this onto my top 3, even though it had a huge impact for me, as a teenager. It's weird because when I do revisit ECW, it's like shitty ECW. It's like Nova when he tried to be serious. It was like Chris Chetty. It was like Kid Cash, Danny Doring era. Like purple, red era ECW fucking stinks. And I really should revisit like 96 through 98, because that was an ill time. Like Barely Legal had probably like my top 5 matches of all time in the Michinoku Pro 6-man tag. But yeah, definitely a very important era in my life when it comes to wrestling fandom. But surprisingly, I didn't include it.
Yeah,
so,
and I will say that I never revisit that part of ECW, so I don't think I ever will, but maybe I will check it out. Cause yeah, I don't really need to see when Chris Chetty turned into a contender. Like, that's not for me, I don't think.
Like, Tajiri Super Crazy still holds up, but everything else, not good. Like Rhino, ugh, bad. First up, I'll just go chronological order. 1988 through 1992 WWF. Like, this is why everyone, like, our age started watching wrestling pretty much for the most part. So this is my base. So to leave this out, it'd just be incorrect. Like, if I never got that tape of WrestleMania 4, I'd probably be like a doctor by now. Like, my parents would be like really proud of me. But, I got that tape of WrestleMania 4. I watched it religiously as a kid. And, here I am today doing a wrestling podcast. Okay. So like, yeah, like this era, like I was the biggest Hulkamaniac. I've talked about it in previous episodes, but when he lost to Ultimate Warrior in, WrestleMania 6, I might have cried really hard. It also kind of like started like currently like a very crippling addiction to buying wrestling merchandise. The most notable wrestling merch that I owned during this era includes, the Hulk Hogan workout set. I had the Hulk Hogan lunchbox and thermos, and I had a Coco Beware LJN figure. I kind of feel like still to this day, like adults are still chasing that feeling of like feeling like genuine shock and like excitement when watching wrestling. And, late 80s, early 90s WWF is probably the reason why we still are chasing this high.
Yeah, now Al's made me feel bad for not choosing this. I kind of just figured this WWF shit would be a given, so all my answers are stupid and nerdy. But I mean, yeah, obviously, I wouldn't be doing the show if I didn't follow WWF. I would say my time frame for it would probably be WrestleMania 3 to 8. I think that was one, like, peak for me. WrestleMania 3 to, like, 10 was like the last one. 10 was the one I went to, so that was like the last one where I was like super still into it, but yeah. I think 3 to 8 would probably be like the peak time. I'd probably go to 92, yeah, whenever 92 was good too. And then after that I started like getting into like, you know, boy stuff. But, but yeah, the same thing, like that was always my treat from my family would be to get like merchandise from the WWF catalog, so that would definitely started me off in buying all this stupid shit too. My next one is I flip-flop back and forth, so it's not a clear answer, between, Onita FMW and then post-Onita FMW, and it's kind of hard for me to choose one. And I really didn't want to choose all the stuff in the same era, and I kind of did that, but like, I mean, to me, like, all of 90s wrestling is like the best. Like that is the peak for me is 90s wrestling. And so I chose a lot of it, but yeah, FMW is, for you guys that don't know, it's called Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. And that is, famously for employing Onita, who kind of ran the company at one point, and Hayabusa, and amongst other wrestlers. And, this was, you know, very eye-opening for me, is basically more or less the Japanese version of ECW. And it was just like, it was pretty wild because that, you know, this is what introduced me to things like concepts like electrified cages and, exploding barbed wire and stuff like that. And pool match. No, pool might have been IWA. I can't remember. No, pool was FMW. Yeah, that was the pool match. Yeah, just like wacky shit like this. And, you know, it just made me look at wrestling in a completely different way. Cause as balls out as ECW was, they didn't do stuff like that. So this was still a cut above that. And then after that, when they kind of leaned more into their like sleazy version of WWE, which was like, that was when like the anal bomb match happened, and when they got Shawn Michaels to be a very bad special referee, and they gave a very young Daniel Bryan, American Dragon, a match and stuff like that. I was still, and they pissed on the owner in the ring. They peed on him with real pee. They peed on him, man. That's some fucking crazy wild shit.
Shoot piss. It was shoot piss.
That was shoot piss right on him. Not as the jury's still out whether Vince McMahon shoot peed himself in that Stone Cold segment, but they definitely pissed on that man in FMW. But so yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, I guess I would just have to go with the Onita years because, like I said, it introduced me to so many concepts that stay with me to this day, like that what wrestling could actually be. And I will still argue that the way Japanese people or Japanese wrestlers do that kind of wrestling is completely different than the way American people do it. Not saying one is better than the other, but it's usually done in a more, still the same level of sleaze, but a little more stylistically, I think. And yeah, I get that comforting feeling watching that stuff, just like I do with ECW.
Here's where me and Mike are just going to start to mirror each other, I feel like. But yes, 1996 through 1999 FMW. I just called this the tape trade ProRes era. Like, yeah. This is what really, really molded me into the wrestling fan I am today. Like, I was looking back at FMW, like, it still gives me the butterflies like Mike when I hear that Toshiba EMI jingle at the beginning of the VHS. Like, I will say that FMW probably had the best iconography of all the promotions. Like, that wing logo is still incredible. The FMW, like, metallic logo is still great. Like, what do you think? Like, out of all the promotions, who had the best graphic design? I think it's FMW, like, pound for pound number one.
Yeah, I would go for that for sure. Obviously, New Japan had, all the artists, like, he did all that stuff back then, which was really good, but you don't really associate, like, when I think of New Japan at that time, I just associate it with the BDV ring. And like, that's what I think about New Japan. I don't think much like artistically. And, yeah, I think as far as, graphics and stuff like that, they really did stick out because they had a lot of it basically.
Yeah, like it was so good. But like I was saying, like it's been 20 years and like I watch wrestling the same way because of this time period. And what I mean by that is like, I still really only care about wrestling from Japan. Like, so during this time period, like I've always kind of had like a collector mentality. And so once I started trading tapes, like I was fucking hooked because like at the time, like for me personally, like I was always looking for like rare matches to trade up. And I was always looking for tapes that were like in better quality than I had already. So like it really scratched that itch for me. Also during this time period, like it kind of introduced me to like the power of the internet, right? Like I was finding like-minded people to talk to because of Death Valley Driver and AOL chat. And so, this era was pretty like important in developing, my fandom in wrestling.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. We've talked about it, of course, but yeah, I mean, that was kind of what branched everything off for me. Started with death matches, IWA King of the Death Match. And branched off into FMW, and then you just, you get all these little branches and they come out. And, here we are. My last one, I wanted to throw a curveball because I was kind of thinking, I kind of took this as not even so much like, personal influence as kind of just like the style guide of this show, basically.
Right.
And, so I wanted to do a curveball and I didn't want to pick exclusively stuff from 1995 to 1999 because that's what I would have done if I didn't pick this. And it is, current, and I'm gelling this all together. It's not one promotion, but current independent American wrestling. I think I'm having so much fun going to all these stupid wrestling shows and, enjoying my twilight years right before death, right before I sail on. Just going to shows and drinking with my friends and like experiencing all this shit. It's super fun. And the way the wrestling is, it just reminds me a lot of the early to mid 2000s, like hardcore, underground music scene where it was like, because basically, if you don't follow American independent wrestling right now, there's basically like a pool of about 25 to 30 wrestlers that just wrestle nationwide now. They just wrestle on every single like notable independent promotion from coast to coast because they are the in-demand wrestlers. And, they can like, they can do this as a job now. And they don't have to worry about going to WWE if they don't want to. And that's kind of like how music was at that point, like punk and hardcore and metal and all that stuff, where it was this point in time where bands were learning they could do this for sort of a living and they didn't need a major label backing and they could tour like 9 months out of the year if they wanted to. and just do this shit kind of full time. But it was before it got super blown up where it just became like a normal thing. And that'll happen with this wrestling eventually. Like 5 years from now, no one's going to give a shit about any of these shows and they're going to stop going. That's just like the circle of life. But as of right now, it's like a really fun time where, you know, Al does have to fly from a different coast, but still we get to see this crazy Japanese legend in America. And like, it's just like a fucking crazy time. We get to see like crazy shit every weekend if we wanted to. If we wanted to travel around, we could see crazy shit every weekend. And so I just think it's a very amazing time to be into wrestling. And, you know, after this, I'll probably get burnt out and fucking go find another hobby.
You threw a curveball. I'm going to hit that out of the park because I have the same exact answer.
Oh, man.
I call this the 2015 through 2017 streaming / virtual pros era. Like, right now, the reason why wrestling's so fun is because we have a lot of money, Mike. Those shirt sales are looking so fucking brolic right now, and I just have a lot of disposable income these days. And as a result of that, like, I can travel the country, I can see shows whenever I want, I can buy shit whenever I want, and it's fucking incredible. Yeah, these past 2 years, like, I've attended more shows than, like, in any other time in my life. Like, last year, I went to see Stardom. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to tell me that, like, 3 years ago when I didn't really give a shit, I'd be like, man, you're regressing. And that might be the case, but it's still, like, a really good time. Like, the quality of wrestling as well has been, like, it might be the best ever. I don't know. I'll have to, like, let that, like, rest for a couple of years, but it's been a really fun time.
It's definitely, like, the quality of wrestling. I say it a lot on the show where I think 90s wrestling, again, is just, like, the perfect pace for me, the perfect everything for me. But we've hit that point in our lives, unfortunately, where the people who grew up with that wrestling are now, like, old enough to wrestle and have, like, watched the same tapes we've watched and shit like that. Yeah. So, like, now we're finally at that point where American people are mimicking that shit and, like, doing it good.
Yeah, along with just, like, experiencing, like, this pretty insane time where I could watch incredible wrestling on demand. Like, the virtual pros thing, like, one of my proudest achievements, I was talking to listener Casey about this, is that, like, we've sort of cultivated, like, this pretty small community of, like, non-weirdos that, like, I actually do like talking to in my free time. And, like, along with, like, making pretty good side money, like, I'm going to look back at this era and think, man, that was a really fun time when I was watching wrestling.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you have, that was your curveball?
Yeah. I mean, the only other, I had a follow-up question, which was, what one era or promotion do you wish you got more into that you didn't?
Dude, so I will say that just so I know what I'd be talking about, because I talk out of my ass a lot on this show. I've noticed a lot. Like, just to have it.
A little behind the curtain, little podcast 101. Doesn't matter if you talk out of your ass as long as it's entertaining. That's all that matters. Facts don't matter. It's all entertainment.
Just so I could have it in my back pocket, I wish I had that Memphis, like, early 80s thing, like, in my back pocket. Because a lot of people talk about it, and even though, like, we watched that shit very lightly on the mixtape, I do think it's, like, pretty solid, but I do wish, like, I had that appreciation for, like, old NWA, old Memphis, just because, I mean, when I was really, really watching wrestling in the late 90s, I didn't give one shit about that. You know what I gave a shit about? Kimono Wanalea, Hayabusa. I could not be bothered by watching Buddy Landell. And so if I did have like a chance to like download an era in my mind, it'd probably be that time frame.
Yeah, I would go with early to mid 90s New Japan heavyweight wrestling.
Yeah.
I was never into this. People like Chono and Hashimoto and Riki Choshu, like outside of Muda, I would see like pictures of them and just be like, I don't know, man. Like they just don't do anything for me. Like you see like a guy like Gary Albright or Kawada, like they're, you know, they look like fucking monsters. Like Hashimoto just looks like a guy who's like kind of bulky that, you know, maybe could fight. Like, I don't know. So I never got into it. And it's just like a big blind spot where I'm like, maybe that stuff is good, but it just like never did anything for me. So, I mean, I know the guys obviously, but I couldn't really tell you any big matches outside of the time that Stan Hansen knocked Vader's eye out. And, obviously the Muda Hiroshi Hase bloody match. But like outside of that, I'm pretty much in the dark.
I don't think that's very rare because you and I feel like everyone else was like, New Japan is for the juniors and All Japan is for the heavies. Yeah, I wasn't watching Shinya as hard as I was watching Misawa. And I think you made the right choice there in picking, All Japan heavies as opposed to really focusing on the New Japan heavyweights.
Yeah.
Anyway, the mixtape. Yoji Anjo, Joey Janela, Usuda, and Otani. It's pretty good, actually. Please stay tuned. And we're back with episode 45 of the Virtual Pros Podcast. If you haven't already, hit us on Instagram and Twitter at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes, leave a review. Hit us on SoundCloud, hit that heart, you know I like it. Yo, download that Bloody Disgusting app. It has all 45 episodes now, you know, in the palm of your hand. It's incredible. Great interface. Shout out to Bloody Disgusting. Thanks, guys. Up first, for this mixtape segment. No, it's you. Fuck.
Yeah, it's me. Before I start, there's two things that we missed. One is that we missed an email from our friend Brian, and now I feel bad about not reading it because, like, he supports us so hard, and we skipped over his email. But it's pretty evergreen. There's nothing, like, topical, so I'll just try and save it for next time. Sorry about that, Brian. The other thing, I already forgot. I think I was just going to say we have a shirt coming out, but no, I don't think that was what it was. Whatever. Forget it. That one thing. Sorry for not reading your email, Brian. Okay, so my first match is, so basically both of these matches were recommendations, but they worked perfectly in a theme of my life. And so the first one is, the Iron Sheik versus Yoji Anjo from 1997, UWF, I believe. This is recommended by Rob, and he just said it was really awkward for 5 minutes. And I was like, that sounds great. And I had no previous knowledge of this match. And the reason why, this has a theme in my life is because the other match is Joey Janela versus Virgil. Spoiler alert. We'll get to that in a minute. But, the Iron Sheik and Virgil are both people, that have Twitters run by the same guy. And I hate them. I hate them both so much. And, I was like, if worse comes to worse, if these matches really suck, I could just talk about how much I hate this Twitter. But yeah, if you guys don't know, the Iron Sheik does not write those tweets. He's like, he's barely coherent. You think he's really just typing in all caps in perfect fucking without spelling anything wrong? So yeah, his Twitter's fake. And the same guy started running, or I mean, it might be a couple guys. They started running Virgil's Twitter too. I think Virgil also tweets too, because a lot of the tweets on Virgil's account seem to have two different voices, but either way. So yeah, I just hate these, their social media presences. So it was a good theme. Things that I hate in social media. So the first up is Iron Sheik versus Yoji Anjo. Yoji Anjo is not a guy I know much about. I assume he is one of these guys who's like a shoot wrestler, I believe. I think he was in all the big shoot wrestling promotions. This is 1997. Iron Sheik is already 51 years old. This is also some sketchy Russian rip. So there is just Cyrillic subtitles on the bottom through the whole thing that makes it look like it's maybe a snuff film or something. It looks real creepy. This match really made me think that I should mention my ritual for watching mixtape matches and how I do this. Speaking of which, I forgot, bunch of new listeners. If you want to follow at home, just go to YouTube and type in Virtual Pros Mixtape, and it'll pop up. It has all the matches we've ever talked about that haven't been deleted from YouTube, and you can just watch along with us, and you can search around, you just put it on in the background, fall asleep to it, do whatever the fuck you want. It's a great time. But anyways, Yoji Andrew versus Iron Sheik. So yeah, my ritual for watching these things. So I usually watch them when I get home from work the day before we record, or the day we're going to record. And, I, as much as I enjoy getting high, I don't like getting high when I have shit to do. So I usually don't smoke weed as soon as I get home from work unless I'm literally not doing anything else. And, it's double worse on days we have to record because I'm just like, I don't want to set everything up and I'm all high. I just want to be lazy. So, but I smoke weed while I watch these matches because it opens my inhibitions where I'll write dumb shit down and then I'll have to read it back. Otherwise, if I'm fucking sober and miserable, I just think wrestling's stupid half the time because I'm not drunk or high. So I'm just like, this stuff's stupid. So it gives me more notes. So that's what I do. But it leads to things like watching this match and having real weird thoughts about it. Like, so this is like a shoot promotion where they want to make it look as real as possible. And so that's the whole gimmick to this promotion is like they have knockdowns and they have 10 counts and shit like that, dumb shit that you don't really want in wrestling anymore. And so they had to be like, well, Iron Sheik's real fucking old. I don't think he could do this shit. Cause this whole match is real awkward. It's like fucking 3 or 4 minutes of these guys like not being able to do anything cause Iron Sheik's so old. And then Yoji Andrew getting super fucking pissed off and kicking him for real. And started doing like for real moves to him. And so like in my mind, my high mind, I'm just like, did they do this on purpose? Is it supposed to look like, is it supposed to look awkward on purpose? Like, why did they hire the Iron Sheik? Why is he involved in this? They had to know he's 51 years old and he can't fucking move. Like, what the fuck is going on? And so like, I'm just like so confused. I don't even think he submits at the end. Like, it's cause I think it just turns into like an awkward mess. Where they're just like, we gotta get this over with. And then like, so it ends, this big awkward mess of fucking dicking around and then kicking hard. And, Iron Sheik like raises Anjo's hand at the end where you're just like, oh, there is a good sport. And Iron Sheik starts to walk away to get out of the ring and he can't even walk cause he got kicked so hard. And it's real sad. You're just like, damn, he got fucked up. And that might be why Iron Sheik is still fucked up to this day. It might be from this match. But either way, I don't know what happened, why they're like, let's get the Iron Sheik to do this weird shoot style. I know he was like an Olympic wrestler or something, but that was 400 years ago at this point. It's just a real weird match. Have you never seen this before? I definitely highly recommend it because it's so bizarre. What do you think, Al?
Thanks, Rob, for this suggestion. I really appreciate it. On paper, it looks like a Fire Pro Wrestling generated matchup. I was like, what the fuck? Iron Sheik's still wrestling? Mind you, Iron Sheik should not be wrestling because it looks like he's in his 3rd trimester, so that doesn't look very good. His belly's really big. So, I do know Yoji Anjo. He'll like forever be like a guy in my head because for those that don't know, Yoji Anjo, back in the mid-90s, he flew all the way to California to the Gracie Dojo to challenge, at the time, the baddest man on the planet, Rickson Gracie, to a fight in UWFI. So Rickson, he was initially challenged by the UWFI Don Nobuhiko Takada to fight in Japan, but Rickson was like, no, I fight for real. UWFI is fucking fake. It's worked. So Anjo came to, I think it was LA in Torrance, to challenge him. Long story short, Rickson, like, I guess in a closed dojo with no reporters, he turned Anjo's face into fucking hamburger meat, and he let all of the Japanese press, like, take photos, like, this is what happened. This is your guy? Fuck that. I beat his ass. So, like, there's footage of this, and it's like the holy grail of, like, MMA footage. Like, it's never been released. But it's such an incredible story because it's like a fucking like kung fu movie. Like a dude came to his dojo. He's like, I'm gonna fucking disrespect you. And he got fucking washed. So Yoji Anjo is actually a piece of shit. There's a history lesson for you guys. Stay woke. So going back to the match, the Iron Sheik, like Mike said, he's like in his 50s. But I will give him credit for being a lot more mobile than I thought he'd be. So I actually apologize for my pregnancy joke earlier. However, you're right. Anjo's kicking the shit out of Iron Sheik's leg. And at the end, like, he kind of does what looks to be some sort of like calf slicer, like submission. And he puts some fucking spice on this, dude. And as a result, like, Iron Sheik is limping really hard, which confirms one thing. Yoji Anjo is a piece of shit, man. That's like elderly abuse. And I'm really glad that fucking Hickson Gracie beat his ass that one time in the mid-90s.
Do you think this is worse? Do you think this is worse than New Jack and Gypsy Joe?
It's not as worse because New Jack fucking took an aluminum bat to Gypsy Joe's head. Whereas Yoji Anjo,
that hurts for a minute. Like Yoji Anjo could have did some real damage with this calf slicer, like real permanent damage.
Listeners, email us at VirtualPro64. Let us know whether you'd A, take a baseball bat to the head by New Jack, or have a Japanese man put you in a calf slicer for 5 seconds really hard. I'm gonna go with B. Mike thinks that A is worse for some reason, but that's Mike, and I'm Al. Next up, Shinjiro Otani and Koji Kanemoto versus the American Males, WCW Prime. 12/11/1995. Dave Penzer, he introduces Shinjiro Otani as Shirotani. What the fuck, bro? Just say his full name. What's up with that? Shirotani? Just smashed him up? It's weird. So I was watching this match and Shinjiro Otani comes out with my grail jacket that someone fucked me on in Japan. And now I'm watching this match really pissed. So, for those that are not going to watch this match, Shinjiro Otani comes out in like this white bomber New Japan jacket. It's a collaboration with Body Glove, which is like some surf lifestyle company, and BVD, which Mike brought up previously. BVD makes underwear and white t-shirts. It was an incredible jacket, and I didn't get it, and I'm really sad about it. Mike, I had a question for you here, since you're really good at this. Say that you had the pencil for Raw, and you were assigned the task to create a new, modern American Males. Who would you pick, and what would you have them dress up as?
I don't think there's any guy that has that type of hunkiness to them now in WWE. It's all like, there's like slim hunks, like Fandango's a hunk, Tyler Breeze is a hunk, but they're kind of slim. They're not like beefy hunks.
Yeah.
So, it's tough to pick who would be an American Male. Fuck, man, this is gonna bug me. I'd really like to have something off the top of my head with this.
I wasn't envisioning beefcakes. I just imagined like Dragon Ball Z, like satin t-shirts and fedoras. That'd be my 2017 American Males.
Oh, so like a literal American Males.
Hey, it's up to you, man. You have the pencil. They were just like, we want this branding. Who are you picking?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll think about this until next episode, I think.
Episode 46, you'll have your answer for 2017's American Males by one Wavy Boy Smith. So I think you and I, like, we kind of picked these matches just to see what kind of wild ass shit the commentators are going to say about Asian people. I won't spoil it, but Dusty Rhodes calls Otani and Kanemoto leg wrestlers. I'll repeat that one more time. Leg wrestlers. I'll let your mind wander on that. This match really sucks, but I think the finish is really cool. Koji Kanemoto is wearing Sabu pants. And he's wearing that sash. It doesn't really fit him. I like Koji Kanemoto in black panties and kick pads. He's kind of like the Don of that style. Otani looks really cool. Scotty Riggs looks like a dweeb in this match. A mild recommend just because it's really weird that you had like two of like the all-time great junior heavyweights fighting the American Males. What'd you think, Mike?
Yeah. First off, to get this out of the way, I don't think the BVD in the New Japan ring is the BVD underwear. I think that's something else. I don't know.
I think it's undergarments, dude.
Really?
Yep.
Any super trivia fanatic out there, let me know. Cause for some reason, I always thought it was two different things. Cause I remember, I don't know. Like for some reason I had some reasoning why I thought it wasn't the same thing. Because I remember back in the old New Japan when you would get the broadcast, they would run like a bunch of weird letters on the bottom of the screen. Uh-huh. And I remember, I'm sure some fucking brainiac out there knows what it was now, but back on the internet back then, no one really knew what it was. But I think it was like networks or something, and I think that was where BDV, I don't know. Like I said, somebody out there that's smarter than me, let me know. But yeah, Dusty Rhodes points that out. He says, they're sponsored by an underwear company, which is, pretty fucked up to say, but I mean, I guess it's true. But yeah, Koji Kanemoto's hair is out of control in this. It's the same kind of haircut he has, but it's like more like puffed out, like somebody took a blow dryer to it right before he went out. And it just looks like, he looks like not like a cool guy. Like he looks like such a dork. I don't know. He looks like such a dork with that haircut. When when the announcer or the commentator mentions the American males when they're being introduced, he immediately mentions to look for all the young, lovely ladies in the audience that will be swooning over the American males. And this was, because there's no young ladies in this audience. This was solely done for you not to just assume they are homosexuals, because they come out like these big, sweaty, hunky men that look like they're in love with each other. And they're called the American males, which is, kind of like not the straightest sounding name for a tag team. So it is pretty amazing that the announcer was like, he must have got a note, make sure people don't think these guys are gay. And so he was like, look at all the lovely young ladies in the crowd that are just going nuts for these hot, straight men. I did think it was very funny that Dusty Rhodes kept on referring to Kanemoto and Otani as the Japanese males as opposed to the American males. And I kind of wish that was they just went with that tag team name, the Japanese males. That would have made this match a million times better. If you do watch our version of this match, which is on the Virtual Pros mixtape on YouTube, there's a commercial break, so you'll get to see some vintage commercials while you play on your phone and wait for the match to come back. At one point, I don't know who the non-Dusty Rhodes announcer is, but he calls Otani's dropkick weird. I think that's racist somehow, because I don't know how the fuck I don't know how his dropkick is weird.
It's beautiful. What the fuck? It's weird.
That is such an odd thing to say, man. And like Al said, this match is kind of not that great, but I have a different reason why this match isn't that great. It's because when I never saw this match, so when Al chose it, I was like rubbing my hands expecting there had to be like one errant Otani kick to the ribs a little too hard to Buff Bagwell or something like that. And there's nothing like that. They like never lay into them. And so again, in my high mind, I'm just like, they must have warned them backstage where they're just like, look, man, you gotta be soft here. You can't do that shit. Can't do that chop socky shit over here. Like, they must have said something like that to him, because like, I don't understand why these guys are just fucking hauling off on these dudes, but they're not. And so that kind of makes this match suck. But, technically it's a decent match. Lastly, another question for the Brainiacs. While this match is going on, the announcers mentioned some USA title tournament that's going on. And it's like, just so many amazing wrestlers in this tournament. Like, it's Chono and Liger and Muda, and then like the top brass of fucking WCW at the same time. I have no recollection of this tournament. So if you are a person who knows this stuff off the top of your head, let me know if this is like a good thing to seek out, because I'd like to see this crazy US title tournament they're talking about. Have you ever seen that, Al?
I haven't. Looked pretty good.
No.
It sounded pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, my last match, is the aforementioned Joey Janela versus Vrtl from Alpha One Wrestling in 2017. This just happened a few weeks ago. This was recommended by the old thrift store jobber. I'm not going to give you his Instagram name because he does not pay us any money to sponsor him like some other podcasts do. So I need to see some money, Brian. I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you your Instagram name, but he actually told me about this match a few weeks ago, but I forgot to put it on last episode. So here it is. It's Joey Janela wrestling Vrtl in 2017. The first thing you may notice about this match is there's not a lot of people there, and they're in a weird room, and it's mostly children, and it might be some sort of birthday party or something. Like, I know Alpha One Wrestling is like a real independent wrestling promotion. It's not some bullshit thing, as far as I know, at least. So I don't know what's going on here, because the kids don't even seem that interested in it. Like, some of them do. Some of them just happen to be there. And on top of that, most of the front row seats are still empty. So it's people sitting, but not even sitting in the front row, which makes it even more awkward. And it's just it's a weird vibe for a wrestling match. Joey Janela still giving it his all, though, as if it's a full packed stadium, which is pretty amazing. Kids say the same for Vrtl, though, but he's trying. Right off the bat, Joey Janela says, "I'm the $1 million boy." That made me laugh so hard. I wish his real gimmick was being the $1 million boy, because he meant to say I'm the $1 million bad boy, but he forgot saying bad the first time, and it was way funnier. The $1 million boy is way funnier. So that was amazing. This match is very cool to watch, because Joey Janela really is giving it his all, and he's like bumping like a madman for Vrtl, who's barely mobile, a piece of shit, and just like calling like spots out loud and just like doing a horrible job. Keep in mind, he's wrestling in front of like 29-year-olds, so I understand not giving it your all, but Joey Janela sure is. It's pretty amazing. This is like, there's nothing that reaches the levels of bizarre as like a Survival Tobita match goes to. Like, even to this day, like, if you search deep enough on the Japanese YouTube, you are gonna find like Super Dolphin wrestling in a fish market against another giant fish. And that's just like a normal thing in Japan. Some weird shit like that. And so American wrestling never gets that bizarre. I will say this Alpha One wrestling, this specific match, it hits that level almost where you're just like, this is a pretty bizarre overall vibe match. It ends weird. Basically the big spot in this is Vrtl, quote unquote, performing a Canadian Destroyer to Joey Janela. The first time they completely fuck it up and they just have to do it over again. And it's real awkward. Al, after seeing this amazing Canadian Destroyer, do you still think this is a cool move?
It's the coolest move in wrestling. What are you talking about? Yeah.
But either way, it is, if you
Can you just go over your beef for the new listeners? What is your beef with the Canadian Destroyer?
For you guys who don't know, the Canadian Destroyer it's a dumb move where people like do like this front flip. It's supposed to look like a pile driver, but it's basically a sunset flip where they don't let go. And I think it's dumb because it's one of those things where it's like one of those things, once you see it, you can't unsee. Once you see that the guy who's getting the move done to him is doing all the work, and the other guy who's supposed to be performing this move is just kind of like standing there. Once your eye connects and sees like the magic behind the trick, it becomes the literal dumbest thing you could watch in wrestling. And it's very popular right now, and people do it multiple times a match, and it looks real stupid, and I wish people would stop doing it.
That sounds like an Irish whip, dude. Gonna say.
I guess. Yep. Yeah, that's it. Very bizarre match. Highly recommended. What do you think, Al?
So this match, it's in Canada, right? This match,
I think Alpha One is Canada, yeah.
Yeah, this match takes place in what looks like a town hall. Mike, if you had to take one guess, who do you think the champion is of Alpha One?
It has to be Ethan Page. He's Canadian.
It's Kobe Durst, dude. Remember him?
Oh, yeah, I do remember. Okay.
Kobe Durst has been champion for close to a year, and he beat Heidi Lovelace. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jade Chung, by the way. Hello. I see that most of the crowd consists of children, and like, although I'm not a quote unquote worker, I can only assume that this is like probably like a big relief to a wrestler, right? Like, it's probably like when I used to work like in IT help desk. Like, if someone younger would come up to me, I'd be like, this is going to be like a 2-second ordeal. They're going to make it real easy. But when like an older person came through, I knew that I had to be like fucking A1. So I feel like when they saw like the 9-year-olds, they're like, psh, got it in the bag. It's pretty easy to fucking antagonize kids. So that's the vibe that I got from these two. There's a part in the match where I'm pretty sure, 95% sure, a kid calls Joey Janela a fuckface. It's towards the end, but I was pretty stunned. I'm pretty sure you got called a fuckface by a child. It's not right. I did laugh very hard at the Vrtl Destroyer. This is a weird match. I think for the participants involved, it's worth your time. It's not very long. Check it out.
I made the joke on Twitter that I think this is Virgil's first 5-star match, and I don't lie. This is 5 stars on somebody's scale. It's a pretty entertaining match to watch.
I don't know, man. When he beat $1 Million Man at Mania, I remember being really, really fucking pumped. Anyway, the last match of the night, Katsumi Usuda versus Ryuji Yamakawa, Battle Arts 8/29/1998. So this YouTube clip, it has a subtitle of Barbed Wire Kick Pad Incident. And, a little behind the scenes, a little, Virtual Pros gem here. All of our, mixtape requests are all bloodthirsty. It's real gross. No one's ever like, yo, can you review Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, Chi-Town Rumble? No, they're like, yo, watch the scissors match. And I'm like, these are our fans. I get it. So I was like, all right, it's a cool summer. I'll go with this barbed wire kick pad incident. We'll see what happens. Ryuji Yamakawa, he proves that Asian people just look great with bleached hair. Prove me otherwise. If there's one Asian person out there that looks weird with blonde hair, send me a pic. It doesn't exist. Katsumi Usuda would play the lead role in a Yuji Nagata biopic. They look exactly the fucking same. I know they're like, you know, they're both wearing blue panties, but face-wise, same fucking thing. I've seen this venue before, and if anyone can give me the name of the venue, I'd love to have it. I think there was like a really good Michinoku Pro 6-man tag in this venue. Like, this venue looks like either like an abandoned supermarket or a town hall, like we saw in Alpha 1. I just want to know what it is. I'm very interested. So this match, it's pretty whatever for the first half. Like, there's some light brawling. There's some like light grappling. I'm not a worker, but there's a part where, Ryuji Yamakawa, he Irish whips Usada backwards and he like eats shit, which is like hilarious to me. And then like he takes like this person's juice box and he drinks out of it. And like I was grossed out. That's how people get mono. You don't know who fucking put their lips on that. Anyway, this match really picks up though when Yamakawa, he goes underneath the ring and he brings out a strand of barbed wire, right? And so Katsumi, he takes that strand of barbed wire and he wraps it around his leg, or his kick pad, mind you, and he starts laying into Yamakawa's chest. Like, any ideas of like this wire being gimmicked is out the window because Yamakawa's chest is fucking leaking. And then Usada Crow Cop kicks him in the head, and then he does the Beavis kicks to him. Shout out to Mike Ultra, and Yamakawa's for real leaking, and I'm screaming because this is disgusting. Like, I always feel like anytime in a death match, they like kind of avoid headshots, but man, not here. They're going for it. And so like this vid quality is like probably a G+ at best, but I can tell that Yamakawa's eye is fucking shut, and he's a mess. And so this match, you know, spoiler alert, it ends with Usuda blasting Yamakawa, not with one, not with two. No, I think it was two for real ass insecurities. And then he just finishes the match by duffing him in the face. I don't know if it was a shoot, but man, welcome to Ghoul Summer. Mike, what'd you think?
First off, it's way better than the G+. I could see that, fucking Usuda's legs were hairy in this. Like,
dude, the tracking's so bad. There's a big tracking line at the bottom. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's bad. Dude, I think you really need to whip out a VCR and watch a fucking, like a real G+ tape on a tube television, and you'll be brought back to how shitty VHS tapes used to be. But
patrons, send me a VCR through Amazon. Let me get my fucking judging acclimated again. Let's do it.
New Patreon perk. Send us some VCRs and tube televisions in the mail. So ironically enough, coincidentally enough, makes perfect sense for me. This is the first Battle Arts thing I ever saw, because, for you guys who are younger than us, Battle Arts was like the it promotion for like 6 months in like the tape trading world, where like people were just like, this is like the greatest fucking thing on earth. Because it was like junior style wrestlers, junior size and style wrestlers, but that kicked the shit out of each other for real, like shoot style. So it was kind of just like this crazy hybrid that no one did yet. Now it's done to death in independent wrestling, but back then it was fucking amazing. And so, you know, I wanted to get into it, but all the names were foreign to me, not in the actual foreign way, but just like, you know, I've never heard of these. I think Alexander Atsuka was the only person I kind of knew who he was.
Dude, for that 6 months, like Minoru Tanaka was like, they were hyping him up to be like yo, this is Masawa. And it was it was a pretty crazy time. I remember that shit for real.
Yeah, I definitely, like, from people talking up, I definitely got bamboozled into buying, like, a best of Minoru Tanaka tape at that point, even though he was probably, like, a wrestler for, like, 3 years at the time or whatever. But yeah, like, I definitely fell for that. But no, like, so, you know, you got to get into it somehow, and I may not know the wrestlers, but I know barbed wire. So when I saw that listing that said, like, barbed wire match, even though this is not a barbed wire match, I was just like, oh, I guess this is where I'll start. So this is, like, the first thing I saw in Battle Arts. This venue sucks. I don't know what it is, but, like, even, like, the suckiest Japanese venues, even the ones that fit, like, 14 people in them, have some kind of charm to them. This just looks like an abandoned factory floor. Like, it just looks like a big factory room with no stuff in it. Like, it's the saddest, suckiest venue. It's a real weird vibe in this place. Everybody's super stationary, like, the whole time. They're just, like, statues watching this. Just, like, watch the crowd. It's just very bizarre. Like, there's this one woman I was staring at. She was next to a child, and she just looked like a zombie. Like, she just, like, was just staring off into space. It's crazy. But outside of that, I've been, like, since we started this, I've been, like, looking for a Battle Arts, match to put on this mixtape. And it's a problem with YouTube because, like, 30% of them are just too shitty quality to even watch. Like, so whoever uploaded them uploaded the worst ones ever. And then, like, the other 30% are just, like, matches I'm not really familiar with. And another thing, when I do pick these matches, I do try and think of something that, even if the match sucks, it's at least notable to talk about for some reason. And Battle Arts doesn't really have that. So it's good that Al put this on here because I've been waiting to see if, like, Battle Arts actually still holds up in my modern eyes. And if it's, like, still interesting to talk about. It's still pretty interesting. Like, this match, this is, like, probably, you know, the most you're gonna get out of a Battle Arts because it's so crazy with the barbed wire where, oh yeah, as to mention, I also did write down Yamakawa grabs a juice box. That's so gross. So me and Al, I will even say, even when the blood starts, I was like, that juice box part was way grosser. But, but yeah, it was just like, I remember watching this, but I don't really remember the results or any, like, you know, like the outcome or anything to it. So, like, when he starts to kick him again and he's just, like, leaking all this blood, I was just like, holy fuck, man, this is fucking crazy. It's pretty wild. I don't know if they had some, like, serious problems or, you know, like, the Battle Arts owner was like, look, we're at the big abandoned factory tonight, guys. You gotta really lay into each other. Like, this is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the one to put us on the map. But, yeah, for one of the most brutal matches in front of a crowd that doesn't really seem to care that much, this is again, I think all four of these matches are definitely worth watching for various reasons. But yeah, if you've never seen this match, definitely seek it out on our mixtape because it's fucking great.
That was episode 45 of the Virtual Pros podcast. Like I said, add us on Instagram and Twitter at VRTL Pros. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. If you're a new listener, if you're an old listener, yo, hit up Bloody Disgusting and let them know that Virtual Pros is it. Please.
Mm-hmm. Let them know. Do it.
Let them know. Mike, any last words?
Got a shirt coming out Monday, July 24th, 8 p.m. vrtlpros.bigcartel.com. Be there.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5 p.m. if you're in California. Mike, how many times do you think we're going to get this question in the inbox?
I've already gotten it quite a lot, so we'll see.
Motherfucker. That was episode 45. Peace.